The European Union Land Governance Programme supports efforts to improve governance of tenure in 18 country-level projects in Africa, Asia and Latin America. All projects address country-specific tenure issues and are implemented by various partners, including government agencies, civil society organizations, bilateral and multilateral organizations and private sector companies. This action forms part of Food and Agriculture Organization (FAO) transversal project support to Friends of the Nation (FoN) under the project Support to and Capitalization on the European Union Land Governance Programme Phase 2. The objective of the project is to contribute to building national-level capacities among policymakers, institutions, and relevant key stakeholders to improve governance of tenure in national fisheries policy formulation and implementation. This project is in line with the application of the voluntary guidelines on the responsible governance of tenure of land, fisheries, and forests in the context of National Food and Security (VGGT).
The VGGT is a framework that enables governments to improve the governance of tenure as a response to improving food security, environmental management, and reducing poverty. Countries have been using them to improve or to respond to the call for improvement in the governance of tenure, because one of the identified challenges to food security is secure tenure for family farmers, individual farmers, the landing sites of small-scale artisanal fishers, migrants, and small-scale holders of agriculture lands.
This video captures success stories, lessons learned, experiences and knowledge gained through actions implemented for the securing of fish landing and processing sites by FoN and partners implementing the EU-funded Farbambo project using the principles enshrined in the VGGT.
Importantly, the project is working to secure fish landing sites for fisher folks. Fish landing site is an integral part of the fishing industry, and in Ghana, the artisanal fisher folks have areas demarcated for them in every community where they land their fish, where women smoke the fish, where they engage in other fish-related activities. We have noticed that most of these areas are not documented. So what happens is that when investors come in or some interest groups come in, these areas or part of these areas are sold off to them, sometimes for hospitality industries, sometimes for factories, and this deviate the purpose for which they were made available for the fisher folks.
Yan mpano nsamete wo Ghana oyana mansun na yi kasakase pia abam
asase bebre knowledge yo anam de abambo bia anyim nti ama asase no oya basabasa na chi no why ma asotwe.
As our area, you see that the fishermen were complaining about when they are doing their work, those people, those encroachers came and worried them about they were doing their activities on their land. So that is a problem for the fishermen.
Now I na say yeri yinam gu asase no do a na asase no wura no wonye nya kasakasa se yakopo so na se 40 bi ba hia bo no ho na se yepede ye no wa asase no do a na asase no wura no nya kasakasa.
The issue of the landing has become a critical need for us because of the encroaching activities going on along the beach, our coastline now.
The Farabambo project in securing fish landing sites is working on 5 communities, which include the Abuesi Kasiwakan Shama district in the western region, the Anomabu fishing community in the Mfantiman municipality of the central region, 3 fishing communities in the Volta region, which are Huti in the Anonga district, Abutiakope fishing communities, and Kejikope in the Kita municipality. In line with the VGGT principle, respecting and recognizing all legitimate tenure rights and the people who hold them, one of the key processes included consultation meetings with community key stakeholders such as traditional authorities, landowners, fisher folks leaders, to discuss and address all relevant tenure issues on the fish landing site.
The VGGT talks about respecting the legitimate tenure rights of people. Legitimate tenure rights are normally rights not recorded in the country's laws, but they provide the legitimacy upon which people occupy and use land. And so people, especially in our customary systems, people who have legitimate tenure rights suffer a lot of vulnerabilities in case of land use changes, in case of acquisition of the land by large-scale investors, because they don't have any documentary proof that the land belongs to them, even though legitimately everybody recognizes that they are the rightful occupants of those lands. So the project ensures that these legitimate tenure rights are recorded.
What was about to me? Musumuntum, Hon, Damuka, Sunday, Muntum, Young Bibi. Never melt when you had them Bibi claim more than 1 year, or about Kufu desire, Gloomy Yangy. On them, you tenancy, yet that tinty. We don't to my way too. Number day, when in our home, the 1 year. Nay, I follow from 1 mark and 1 home.
Falabambo for buy no ya de damaka sani na atu ho anyim na wo ye da wo bo he ampala so de so ya wo ye gudu ye ho adwuma ahyase na asase no wura no ọma he kwan na on tia da nti nyema bi ase nti ofi mmire to mmire no mokwa ne nchen menye no kwakakasa menye na akasa ma me fi da bedu da meta mi nti ase ya adwuma mo wo tumudi asase no ayeden amahe. What the man so Falabambo for 1 5 a human named Zagol. Where to one the Mobiada, also there would
Farabambo Jumezi Beno, in a onye azar, in Sassi, or into a ma, a hobby bray or bim. What Bible to sing? Why, ye more the way in Nara. Now embroidery door a day, yes, ye mono. Men some hasi bim. Inti okabane day ma your batani na nanom ye kan ye tirubom ye kro ma hene wo ma ye kan ye tirubom ma ye kro ekohu asase nura no ma oye na na kwa eja akwa na oda no ona na ebusua mpanyinfo no ano na anu ze ehia onam de ntutum beninti onam so de wo pye no ma abuman ne kanko ninti.
The next process was community sensitization meeting on fish landing site mapping and documentation. This sensitization engaged key stakeholders including fishermen, fishmongers, fish traders, fish processors, assemblymen, traditional authorities, fisher folks leaders to engage and tell them the reason their fish landing site must be secured and mapped.
In this meeting, we also had the reasons that some people might have information, whether there is legal backings on the fish landing site documentation, and also if there has been encroachment on the fish landing site, for them to be aware the reasons why we want to engage these fishing communities to protect and secure their fish landing sites.
The next process is to map the boundaries of the fish landing site. GPS receivers are used to pick the coordinates of the boundaries of the fish landing site. To also get current images of the landing site, drones were employed where area shots of the landing site were taken.
And this was done in assistance with the community leaders, those who actually know the boundaries of the fish landing site. And picking the coordinates of the boundaries, we exported these coordinates using the GIS software called the ArcMap to process the boundaries, where we're able to draw polygon to know the actual size of the fish landing site.
The next process was the validation of the GIS maps of the boundaries of the fish landing site. These maps were printed out and sent to the 5 communities which show the boundaries of the landing site.
So in this process, they had opportunity to adjust the boundaries. Maybe when we're doing the coordinate system, when we're picking the boundaries of the coordinate system, we left out certain boundaries. So they had opportunity to change boundaries to include certain areas. Some fish landing sites had fuel sheds, fish markets, so they were able to include all these facilities into their fish landing sites. So this process allowed the fisher folks to interact and know the actual size of the fish landing sites they are dealing with. And this informed them how they can really secure and protect their fish landing sites in this process.
The next process is the physical demarcation of the fish landing sites. Painted bamboo sticks were used for the demarcation of the fish landing site in all the 5 fishing communities, and they were mounted after the maps were validated. These processes ensured that the legitimate tenure rights of the fish landing site are recorded, protected, and secured. The beneficiaries in the community shared their experiences on how the processes in securing the fish landing site had affected their activities in fishing and way of life.
We had, as at then, not have any well-organized group of fishermen to discuss their livelihoods that much until Farabambo came in. So when they came in, they were able to support fishermen to do a lot of things, some of which include they supported the municipal assembly to map out a place for a landing site. So the assembly made sure that the particular place marked for a landing site has been documented in our structure plan as a place reserved for a landing site.
When the bamboo stakes were put in place to mark out the boundary lines, it created a lot of awareness among the community people, especially those whose lands share boundaries with the beach, and some felt we were encroaching on their property. But when they came out and we talked about it, they understood, and that made them all say, okay, they gave us the green line to continue with whatever we are doing, because they also felt the need that the beach should be safe for the use of everybody. The community is basically fishing community. Without a secured landing beach, the fishing activities will be completely strained and increasing the poverty level of the community.
The Sunday, and me I don't know when we are to them, Abama, with the complete Abaya Ashan so, is to say, Makaso Kada, you know, your mobile, Bayambua, a man up of Fumba, no be mboso ama mbaye wa no be mboso ama ye nyina ama obia no wende asase no dorofo a otuma bi so question de asase abanza obepem ha oyde na wole yendemi
Sorujumani ya wo haupi titire ya asase ayeba ibotumi ya atwen ya ma ezegu obebi ayeba ya bojuma na aze first na oye won haupa eba obi se aha mo ya na za ntumu ntwen amanto bi o amada wakura na ofia na wa afro da wan man be yifio but faraba mbo fo bai wonye bezi nkomada obobon ya oda menyama no sisi asumejiri de faraba mbo fo no obem wa ma da menyama ni na wa akofo.
This is where we require our policymakers to take keen interest in the principles of the VGGT to ensure that they are integrated into our policies and into our laws, so that people who occupy land will have the freedom, the liberty, and the peace of mind to use their land. That's one of the ways that we can improve food security, we can reduce poverty, and we can ensure that there is proper environmental management for our lands.